Hello, everybody. I, however, am like, oh wow, I haven't been in a room with such a small room. And when I first came in, I was like, put your mask on. And I'm like, no, it's okay. Just try to breathe through it. So it is nice to be with people, and it's interesting to be indoors. Uh, I couldn't help but think about this time, this period that we're in, and all that we're holding, whether we acknowledge it or not. And we're moving in, 3 years ago, we were all in this state of alarm and trauma around COVID, and we've somehow made it through that. And I was considering how, just the survivor. I was thinking, like, what it would be like if, like, we met everybody as a trauma survivor. Like, if we sort of met people with this open heart that understood that suffering might happen depending on what comes out of their mouth, but that they are a survivor, and that so many of us are thriving at this time. And we're moving. Next week will be, I think it's in the next few days, 10 days, will be at the anniversary of George Floyd's passing. And just thinking about, it was hard not to consider how because of COVID, we are where we are as far as our discussions around racial justice and the actions that have happened, because the similar thing happened 7 years ago before that with Michael Brown, and we sort of just went on with our day. And COVID just forced us to slow down and look at so much. And just honoring all of that still remains in our system, in our bodies, as we come again towards that anniversary, everything that's happening right now. And then, of course, this heightened harm and attack on the LGBTQ community. It's been a journey just to be able to and sometimes keep, I know, my head above water in my work and healing. And sometimes, because of my role, that healing and that work is what's pulled me through, being able to support others. I think, this idea, I don't know, I heard somebody talk about codependency. It was a good time for me to practice that, because it helped carry me. Just wanted to name that. This year there have been 430 plus anti-LGBTQ bills presented since January. And 1 in 3 trans youth have attempted suicide, supposedly. I think that was USA Today. And so that sounds like a really low number. It's probably not 1 in 3, but it's pretty bad. And so we have this experience of both, like, living in this world that's always been trauma in the world, right? It's just our time now to see it, where we get to choose, like, who we want to be and how we want to show up, but also what we want to take in. I just want to name that as well. I've been speaking to people over the years about, like, we don't have to watch the news, and certainly you don't have to look at it every day, because it's the same stories, different names, different countries. And so does that build your resilience? How does that support your mental health and your self-care? I'm just thinking, I've had lots of thoughts. And then we come to this book. So I know I just threw a lot out there. You can exhale. If that brought something up for you, just like releasing, right? It's all happening. It's sort of like we have this moment where we hold so much, and we carry a lot, and sometimes just remembering the exhale can make all the difference. So just letting go of anything you heard that was supporting you, and holding on what was good. So I went on retreat. I taught a retreat in North Carolina a few weeks ago, and I saw this book on the shelf, and I've been working on other projects, so I was like, oh, cool, they have this book. And I was like, I think I wrote, I know I wrote a piece in here. And then I saw, I wrote a prayer in here too. It was so cool when you do something and you forget what you did. You forget that you did it. And then and let's see, it's kind of cool. It was some back and forth conversation about how we were able to print this, because I tried to print it with a little bit of rhythm. And tonight I'm sort of tempted to read the version on my computer. It's like the original version, and there might be some difference. How do you feel about that? Or do you want me to read this?
Whichever version works for you.
I think I want to kind of see what shows up here that might be different. It might be exactly the same, but because I haven't compared them. Certainly easier to read my computer. I'm moving towards needing reading glasses, and I'm not there yet. I just want to say also, I have the gift of working with young trans people and sometimes older trans people, and of course hanging with peers, and people come to me often to talk about the idea of no self and this idea of having an identity, and just talking about like the duality of that. It's sort of like, yes, I am this and I am nothing, and yes, I am this and I am everything. So I'll read this piece. How much time do I have? That would be good to know.
You have to 8:25.
All right, because I can chatter a lot, and I want to. Don't mind me. I'm looking for something I had open recently. Only because there was something that I read earlier that I want to share if I can. I might not find it. Here it is. Just this little piece. Just this little quote. Dalai Lama says, but when we investigate who am I, he says that the reality or existence of I can only be established within a framework which is unanalyzed and unexamined, and that if we do look, then the idea of I is unfindable. So I just wanted to start with that. And I know there's something happened with him while I was away. I haven't investigated it, but his humanity is his humanity. Love is meeting things as they truly are. Love is meeting ourselves as we truly are. In the words of a great Buddhist teacher, Nisra Gadada Maharaj, wisdom tells me I am nothing, love tells me I am everything. Between the two, my life flows. This is love for me. These two truths are formed by my own experience. Alone, I am nothing but cells, flesh and bones, blood. When I understand myself as a spiritual manifestation, I know I am everything. I am love, life itself. And it is from this place, henceforth, my bodhisattva vows flow, enlightened by the Four Noble Truths and supported by the Eightfold Path. In this life and in future lives, I vow to continue my practice, to be love, to exercise compassion for myself and others, until all beings are free from suffering and harm. Fresh white, masculine, beyond gender, human being. Dear Spirit, thank you for bringing me into this experience. All of it has been useful. The abandoning, the neglect, the abuse, the self-abuse, the being found, the flirtations with death, the suicidal thoughts, the lies, the cheating, the doubt, the fears. The glory and the redemption. Redemption is always bittersweet. The abundance and the loss. The renunciations. The struggle with renouncing. Unhealthy discomforts. The gift of this whole and healthy body. The kindness and grace, the gratitude, the appreciation, the holding and being held, the tears, the recovery, the awakening, the awakening, the awakening. Will I ever wake up? The falling, down, 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 again and again and again. The lifting and being lifted, the delusions, the magic, knowing the difference, the intuition, the intuitions, my intuition. Every time I ignored my intuition. Every time I listened to my intuition. The hope, the joy, the faith, all the failures, over and over again. Fail, fail, fail. Forgiveness, deeper and deeper each time. The forgiving, the letting go, the transformation, the rebirthing, the expanding, the remembering, the healing, life. Every time I choose to live, sex, the ocean, and the violin, the Four Noble Truths, the 23rd Psalm, the Serenity Prayer, rock, R&B, and Babs. My chosen families. Thank you, Spirit, for showing yourself to me, for bringing me here to this moment. I can see more and more clearly. I can see love more and more clearly. It's all love. We are loved. My trans brothers, my trans sisters, my trans siblings in between and beyond any social construct. All the people, all beings, we are love. I am love incarnate. You are love incarnate. I am joy. I am compassion. I am suffering. I am the relief. We are all these things. To live in this moment in grace, to share, to survive, to discover. We're all okay. To discover I am okay. This is where I am. Thank you for your blessings with deep bows, fresh. Back then I used an exclamation point. I did that for years. Thank you for listening. I haven't read that in a long time. It's sort of like, I'm vacant, as they say. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about Sangha and sort of how it was with the support of people who practice, who taught, and then of course, and encouraged, that sort of allow me to get to a place where I could be so clear about who I am, even as that is changing. And this gift of reflection in silence. Sometimes the reflection's in silence, and I love that you do the check-in and you get to connect to each other. And so I think I just want to, been emphasizing lately that that Sangha can go beyond the space, and making time and space for tea and coffee and music and, sort of connecting. But that, was it Thich Nhat Hanh or the Dalai Lama, I can't remember, who said like the Buddha is the next Sangha, or the Sangha is the Buddha? Okay, yeah, there you go. And so it means coming beyond here. And I just want to encourage that. I don't know how long you've been practicing together, but when's the last time you had a gathering? Right? And maybe online it's just a social hour. But like really building relationships. If I've never been to Plum Village, it's on the bucket list. And what I love about what I've seen is just that people are in community together. So choosing to retreat together when possible. Maybe you can get a group discount. But like the importance of being with people who share values similar to yours and a spiritual path similar to yours. I think I find that very valuable. So when I become love, or when I embody compassion, which I try to live, I got permission I remember the Dalai Lama said his religion was compassion, and so since then I've just grown to be this person, like, how can I walk? How can I just be love, right? Not love or, have this idea of loving, but how can I be love? And how can I be compassion? How can I walk in this way? And once you commit to that, there's freedom, because guess what? You can mess up and begin again, because that's part of the compassion practice. So on that day, that moment, and it's so rare now, when I am mad at the person that cuts me off, I can have compassion for myself and them. But more than ever, like when someone does cut me off or cause me harm, I send them compassion. May they arrive safely. And trust, because I'm a New Yorker and I love to race. So it's rare. There's somebody the other day had a car really fast, and I was just like, whoa, okay, may I be okay. They're fast. They're driving something. I shift into a place, right, when I'm loving compassion, where I no longer need to judge or condemn you or myself. Isn't that a miracle? Don Miguel Ruiz talks about how we can, find ourselves guilty and then want to punish ourselves, right? And that's not loving. That's not kind. Because I am no longer doing that to myself, because I recognize that you too are trapped, whoever that other person is, that they too are suffering, and that they too are free to walk a path of awakening or to stay stuck, just like me. I can have more compassion. This morning I shared with Liēn, I heard about a relative who passed. And this is someone who I don't know the right word, I released in 2020. so harmful. But it was interesting because all the years I got to a place where I was able to like have compassion for their experience in this life, and then have compassion for experience in my life, know that I love them and release from that place. And it's like, it's amazing what it's been like just hearing that they passed and just sitting in it. Just like, I'm like, is guilt gonna come? Like, when's it gonna get me? But I feel really clean and I feel really good. And I let them know how much I love them and how much compassion I have for them and for us. And it kind of works like that. I know I'm all over the place a little bit. I think I'm, still processing. I literally heard that today. So still processing a little bit. And some of, the suffering was around my identities. They were sort of queer-phobic and transphobic. And even as I remember that I'm more than that, right? I still want to be honored for who I am in my experience. And they couldn't meet me, and it's okay. They've just had a different experience. Let's see, I want to give you time to talk, so I don't want to talk too much. All right, good. Just reading some notes that I looked at today. Let's see if there's anything else there I want to share. I think what comes up for me is just like the miracle of practice. I've met a lot of people lately who have been really active, maybe in reading and participating in different activities, but they're not actually practicing. And they're not actually taking time to meditate. And I know that that's hard for some people. So just know that you can find your own way. That it's just about being present in your body at any time. That it might be while you're walking, it might be while you're standing in line, like all the things. But I just want to invite you to if you've lost track of that, if this is the only time you're practicing, that you can begin again anytime. I think again, we find ourselves guilty, then we spend so much time punishing ourselves that we're not practicing. You can just start where you are, whether it's with music, whether it's touching your heart, all the different ways to be kind to you. It really can help ground you and bring you so much clarity about the love that you really are and all the love that is here for you to take in. When I'm doing more talking during meditation, I remind people that each breath validates your experience. Each breath says that you're worthy. Every time you inhale, life is like, you're supposed to be here. There's space for you. I'm here for you. And then we have this ever, ever, ever holding hug, this planet. It's always holding us. We can always lean in. And just remembering that might be the hug that we get today. Is us and the planet. Who could want anything more? And then, again, that not just validation, but also that you deserve everything that's available for you. Right? The tree doesn't... You ever read, I believe that was... who was the prophet, right? What's his name? Keiryū. And so he talks about how it's not like there's a tree and it's fruit and you can't grab one, everybody else can, right? It's all here for you to take from the fruit of the earth in a mindful and loving way, but that's taking care of yourself. We all share the need to feel safe and at ease in our spiritual journeys so that we may deeply explore our places of healing, our places of injuries, our joys and our sorrows. We are vulnerable and tender when we undertake such explorations. As we enlarge our spiritual capacity to be with all of our experience, we also gain the capacity to be with the experience of greater numbers of beings and greater numbers of communities. The Dharma invites us into the unconditional, into the expansiveness that the community and Sangha represent, into the vast connectedness we share as a universal family. So again, coming back to the Sangha, we have a global Sangha. Isn't that cool? You can go anywhere you want, pretty much, and practice and be welcomed. Take advantage of that. I want to pause and see. I know I said a lot of things. It's been a crazy period, but do you have any questions or comments? Questions, comments, wisdoms, concerns? You're like, what was that? Particularly anything, I honestly haven't read the whole book, but if there's anything that you would like to...
I have a question, Lev.
Yes, please.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I saw you like, whoa, I haven't read that in a long time. And you
Yes.
had a response.
Yeah.
Can you share, like, rereading something you like, oh yeah, I forgot I wrote that. What has shifted, what pops out, what you want to say more about?
Wow, thanks. Yeah, thanks for noticing that. It's really deep, this piece. So, there are times when I go back and I read some of the pieces that are like out there in the public and I go, oh, I would change this, that, or the other, but I didn't see anything that I wanted to change. So, yeah, I don't know what that says because this is how many years? 7 years? If I did the math right? Look at that, 6 and 7. Mm-hmm. Yep, 2016.
And to me, it sounds like a healing. And you put your hands together when you started. So
yeah, I have
prayer.
I love. I haven't been writing enough lately, and even though I just wrote, there's another book that just came out. It's called Authentic Selves, and it's a book that's created to support trans youth. So that just published. But I haven't written any prayers lately, and I really love prayers. And what's interesting about that is in like 2012, when I was just stepping into a 12-step program, an Al-Anon program, I was doing Al-Anon, and I was introduced to Metta, and I was listening to Abraham Hicks, and everything was happening at one time. I just started taking testosterone. It was insane. And I said to my friend, how do you pray? And it's been beautiful just having them come out over the years. And so this dear spirit, which for me is the way that I can talk about the energy that is us, this energy that is love, does encourage me to want to pray. Yeah. And someone who's really wounded by the way Christianity showed up in my life. It's interesting, that I can find prayer beyond that, and even talk about what I appreciate about this person, this being, this soul called Jesus, and just be like, yeah, I'm interested in walking the path of compassion and being compassionate and living in abundance. I don't need the other stuff, Which, no offense to anybody, I also honor whatever's bringing you ease. Is some of what happened with the person that I separated with is that they were constantly bombarding me with things. And for a while, I was trying to also convince them these things and push them these things. And, and one day I was like, wait a minute, let's say I do convince them that all of this is farce. What do I offer? I'm not their higher power. This is way before Alan. It's just like, I can't be their spiritual foundation. So if this is where they are grounded, it's not my place. And so, we grow from that. We learn and we grow. The perfection is in the practice. You just keep coming back. So, Liēn, you asked me to read the prayer in the front of the book.
Are we almost time?
Yeah, it's almost time.
And nobody online had a question?
Yeah, let's see. I would love that. Yeah. I would love that first over reading anyway.
Can you
And
see it, or do I need to?
yeah, I can see them all.
Okay. Because often they do. Oh, and someone in the room.
Oh, somebody.
I have a question, but I have these. You're getting me to think about things, and so I want to, so there's a podcast I love, and there's this one trans activist that came on and talked recently about how, kind of like the movement, like basically the importance of embodying love in the trans community, and just being right now that radical front to love in the face of hate. And like, so like right now I'm seeing, when I'm witnessing you, I'm witnessing that embodiment of it. And, so that's kind of what's resonating in me right now.
Even as I drool water down my
Especially with the drool.
on camera of all places. New lips. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah. I went through this coach training program, and we had to decide like what our I am statement is. And I think the first one I came in was like, I want to be the mirror of what's possible for you, right? I was suffering so much, right? But if I am love, then I don't have to worry about you, right? So it's a little bit less about you than it is about how I show up and how you respond and how you receive, right? So I'm showing up mostly like this. Not always like this, but mostly like this. And so in a different way, calling you in to be loving as well. Yeah. Yeah. It can be scary. I wrote this, I used to write these things, these ditties on Facebook, and one of them used to be like, I can't even spell vulnerability, much less. And yet, it turns into a superpower if you can get there. I think I talk too much. We still have a few minutes, so.
I want to do a follow-up really fast, which is like, because that's the one thing that came up was like, do I actually want to embody compassion that much? And I was like, I don't know. Like that's a big thing to commit to. Yeah.
It's a big thing. It's a big thing to commit to this path, right? Because it's like, okay, Whole Foods is the only store that's open right now. You know, either I'm going to go without the milk in the morning and, forego this place that I don't appreciate the business practices, or I go in and get the milk and, be as friendly to everybody that I meet as possible, But it's like, if I want to be, for me, being clear on the path, I'm Capricorn too. I have like some narrowing of rules as much as my ADD can be wild. So the gentleness about the either and or, if I get the milk, it's not just about me. So the other people that I may be living with, and like, what can I do to lessen any harm, right? It's complicated. We're in the system. We didn't set it up. You all know how it goes. Somebody raise their hand. Oh, yes, please.
Thank you. So, Love, I was wondering, we mentioned maybe in the moment someone cutting you off, and your commitment to not just love, but to be love and to be compassion. Someone else asked about, are there things that you do in that moment to maybe recall, or is it just like how does that happen in the moment for you?
Yeah. So that's about practice. That's about taking our practice with us once we leave the space. So offering compassion. May you be safe might be it. May you arrive safely. It might come after you're already cursed them out, but the point is that soon you will not curse them out. And that's been what's come up for me. Something else happened recently, and it's just like, so basically, even in line, wherever I go, when I can't offer someone money on the street, I do try to make eye contact, and then I just wish them safety and abundance. But it's throughout the day, right? Depending on who you are. I wish people living in this area, believe it or not, including even in Oakland, lots of racism all day long, people following me, blah, blah, blah. So, on my better days, I'm just like, wishing them, a better life, wishing them ease, wishing them love, whatever it is. So that becomes my all-day practice. And I shared a couple of days ago, like I rarely have a hard time sleeping, but I had to do this work thing that got canceled. I ended up in this hotel and I didn't want to be there. And for some reason, in the middle of the night, there was just ranting going on, and that doesn't usually happen. And so what I offered was, may all beings feel loved. So I just had that be my chant. And it helped me. I went back to sleep, and then I woke up, and then the thing, da-da-da-da-da, and then I did it again. May all beings feel loved. And sometimes, and I think for me at that time, it just felt easier than saying, may I be loved? Maybe that's the next level. But just doing that it was just easy. So you want to go to what's easy, Yeah, it might start with like, may you not wreck your car. Like, I don't know about you, but I've had some car. You have some thoughts sometimes. So you just start really just be honest with yourself and be gentle, work your way. Yeah, thanks for asking that.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Boy, blessing time? Blessing time?
Yeah. I love the prayer in front of the book. I just discovered it, as I told you. Rediscovered it recently. And tonight, because I couldn't find my book, I found another prayer that I wrote that I wanted to share. And this can be found on the National Weekend of Prayer.org. Guided by the light and wisdom of spirit. Dear ancestor spirits, please hear our prayer. Remind us to breathe deep in each moment, touching our lives from within as we honor you there. Remind us to reach back to you who were here long before we began, counting time or needing labels to describe ourselves as human beings. You goddesses, warriors, and kings, healers, priests, priestesses, shamans, two-spirit family, and friends, share with us your wisdom that we may know the power of community and understand we are already one. We need only self-love and compassion so that we can truly let each other in. Dear Spirit, Creator, Higher Power, Goddess, God, Universe, Mother Earth, you who are calling us forward, remind us that we are deserving and there is enough space in this world, in the hearts of this world, and in our communities for all of us to be, do, and have all of our heart's true desires, to be safe, loved, and happy as our own spiritual selves. Dear spirits, collectively we call on all of you at this time to come and breathe with and through us as we walk our paths towards equity and freedom. Remind us that each breath is not just this moment, the most important one. It's also for our future. With you, we remember that no matter where we are, when we can be truly present, we can and do create our future. We give thanks to you, dear spirits, for bringing us this far, for calling forth our authenticity so that we can be free to clear the hurdles in our paths for our own taking, for our youth and seniors, those of us at higher risk of inner and outer harm, the lonely. With your guidance, we can work together to create a more just and equitable, safe, strong, and healthy life experience for those within and beyond the transgender spectrum, for all beings. In remembrance of our sisters, brothers, and others lost to violence in all forms, please hear our prayers. Ashe, Asho, Amen, blessed be. And may all beings everywhere, without exception, benefit from this gathering and our time together. May they be safe, free, protected. May they all know deeply they are loved.